Mahabharata says, these two gods, Marduk and Enki, started a lot of uproars in the world, and they started wars as well until chaos was all around. What they probably did was attempt to bring order in what they considered being chaos, because in their absence, things had become out of control, and now the two gods had to set the record straight again, seen from their point of view. In order to do so, it took what it took, and they did not care whether people and creatures in the world suffered because of it. After all, no one was considered being other than wild animals, anyway. Man was often referred to as both Lulu and beast. The gods considered themselves being hunters, so slaying humans and animals did not bring about any remorse inside of them. We can see a dramatization of this in today's world as well, if we take a look at the British royal family going on their royal fox hunts. The Mahabharata says, these two gods, Marduk and Enki, started a lot of uproars in the world, and they started wars as well until chaos was all around. What they probably did was attempt to bring order in what they considered being chaos, because in their absence, things had become out of control, and now the two gods had to set the record straight again, seen from their point of view. In order to do so, it took what it took, and they did not care whether people and creatures in the world suffered because of it. After all, no one was considered being other than wild animals, anyway. Man was often referred to as both Lulu and beast. The gods considered themselves being hunters, so slaying humans and animals did not bring about any remorse inside of them. We can see a dramatization of this in today's world as well, if we take a look at the British royal family going on their royal fox hunts. When order was once again brought into the world, humans were allowed to place themselves on the thrones to rule the world of man. But this time the gods were much more present than they were before they sent their avatars to restore order. Enki and Marduk did not always incarnate as monarchs, however. Sometimes they sent avatars to Earth who incarnated as mere ordinary men, but still within certain bloodlines. Two of the most well-known avatars in the Hindu religion are Lord Krishna and Lord Rama, both being incarnations of Lord Enki. Krishna is known in the Vedas as the eighth incarnation of Lord Vishnu, and we know by now that Lord Vishnu is the equivalent to Lord Enki. Rama is Lord Vishnu's seventh avatar. However, Lord Enki was not the only one who sent avatars down to earth, so did Marduk. In some legends, it is said that Lord Rama's monkey-man companion, Hanuman, was an avatar of Lord Shiva, whom I showed evidence of being Marduk in paper 4. I'd like to discuss the Vulcans, the helpers from VEGA, who always were close to Mother Goddess, and in fact were her firstborn humans. Although they were far taller than today's human and had pointed ears and many different skin colors, some different from ours, they are still the human template in this galaxy. What happened to the Vulcans? When Lucifer and his fallen angels invaded and defeated the original settlers, Lil was defeated, Queen Nin was defeated, Mother Earth was wounded, and the Vulcans were killed. The survivors had no choice but to leave the solar system because they were chased out through the stargates, although not all of them managed to escape. Also, a small number of Vulcans wanted to stay and protect the Namlu survivors, and occasionally, they all had to flee underground. Eventually the Namlu came back above the ground, but as soon as the Vulcans did, they were brutally killed. Thus, they returned to their underground abode and have probably stayed underground up until this day, unless they are all dead. It was a big victory for Lucifer and his son to have managed to take over the solar system. It was wildly celebrated, and everybody got drunk. I mentioned in Level 1 that the alien invader force introduced liquor here on Earth for the first time. Another name for liquor is spirit, and it is called spirit because it was said to affect not only the body, but the spirit too if you drank it. Like a hallucinogenic drug, not only the mind was affected but also to a certain degree the soul/spirit herself. When Lucifer, who loved alcohol, and apparently still does, said when he was at his drunkest that the Vulcans were certainly not to escape. "They think they're so close to my mother," he said, "but I will show them that they are not close enough. As soon as we're established here, I'll take care of that whole damn star race." This was not only drunk talk. Lucifer kept his promise. Soon enough, he assembled a decent number of MacWarriors, flew through the stargate of Saturn, and arrived in the constellation of Lyra with an armada of hollowed-out asteroids and smaller attack ships. Vega, Alpha Lyrae, the brightest star in the constellation of Lyra, is a big, bright white star, 25 light-years from Earth. Several planets orbit the star, and a few of them were inhabited by intelligent spacefaring beings at this time. In ufology, we often differ between the Lyrians and the Vulcans/Vegans, and some say that these two races were in conflict with each other, which they most certainly were. The Vulcans, as we have discussed, were the Mother's helpers. They traveled with her over the universe to create life in the Milky Way galaxy but also in other galaxies. The Lyrians, on the other side, are deeply misunderstood. They are often described as the blondes, the Swedes, or the Nordics, who were here on Earth frequently to contribute their genes to the human gene pool, together with other star races. In order to explain exactly who the Lyrians are, we need to go back to Barbara Marciniak and her Pleiadians. In the books, Bringers of the Dawn, and Earth, the Pleiadian Key to the Living Library, they describe how they came to our universe from an earlier universe that became old and was destroyed. They entered our universe through a gigantic black hole and settled in the star system of Lyra and later in the Pleiades. These were the Blondes. The Swedes, the Nordics, and the Pleiadians are all the same race, and they also became a genetic offspring of the so-called Anunnaki, who interbred with them. Therefore, the Lyrians have always been on the alien invaders' side, and most of them supported Lucifer's rebellion. This is the reason why Lisa Royal and other channelers say that the Lyrians and the Vegans did not blend well together and often were in conflict with each other, even here on Earth. There were Lyrians/Pleiadians present in the alien invasion 500,000 years ago, and this is the conflict Royal discusses in her book, The Prism of Lyra. Thus, when Lucifer and his MacWarriors arrived in the Lyran star system, they were supported by the Lyrians/Pleiadians who lived there, and together, they invaded Vega, where the Vulcans lived. Without any forewarning, they started nuking the vegan planet and killed a huge majority of the primordial human race in this part of the universe. The vegans were not soldiers, they were androgynous creator gods, and they never stood a chance against Lucifer's heavily armed space armada. The Vulcans, however, could nano-travel, and when they noticed how serious the Dark Warriors were, they fled to Orion, where they were taken under the Queen's wings. The star system Vega has therefore, since approximately 500,000 years ago, been in the hands of the invaders, just another star system they so proudly have conquered. The entire Lyra constellation now belongs to the alien invader force, contrary to what some researchers say. The Vulcans have merged with the Orions and have resided there since the Lyran War. Thus, they never relocated to the Pleiades, as some may have it. If they would have relocated, they would have walked right into the open arms of their enemies. The confusion lies in the assumption that the Pleiades are the Seven Sisters, but the original Seven Sisters is Orion, followed by the Big Dipper constellation. I presume that the vegans who were left behind here on Earth know about what happened to their home planet, and that must have felt awful for them. Their planet was beautiful and possibly a model for planet Earth when Mother Goddess planned the fauna and flora here. The question is how the vegan planet looks like today. The stranded Vulcans here on Earth know, at least, that they can never return home. We are once again coming back to the fact that all those star races that are mentioned in ufology and exopolitics are nothing more than members of the same invader force, that of Lucifer. The fact that they come from a lot of different star systems doesn't make them either benevolent or unique. If we want to discuss any kind of galactic federation, it's the alien invader force and no one else. The friendly star races are still banned from coming into our solar system. There are battles going on in our solar system, you read this. But before we cheerfully start waving our flags, perhaps, we should find out whether these are benevolent star races trying to fight Lucifer's Dark Warriors or if it's a civil war between different factions of Lucifer's allies. It could, on occasion, even be our future human cyborg friends who are trying to fight their way through to get some airwaves.